Well, I've been freeze drying for about a week now. This is my Harvest Right XL. I no expert, but I consider myself a Facebook freeze drying group expert because I've read almost every single post. A lot of the common questions are, do I need a dedicated outlet? If you have a Harvest Right large or XL, you need a dedicated 20 amp outlet with the correct outlet. See how it has a T on the left side? Because the plug goes this way. It has a one blade that's turned 90 degrees on the left side there for that plug. Number two, your pump gets plugged into the back of the freeze dryer. Now I did put a Y on, really heavy gauge Y, and I have it hooked to this little fan, so when it turns my pump on, it also runs a little bit of a cooling fan. Occasionally I'll turn the fan off, just so if there is any water vapor in the oil, the pump gets hot enough to bleed it off. I also added a kilowatt meter. So far this batch has done 57 kilowatt hours. Basically the line comes in, loops up through the kilowatt meter, comes back out. It uses a Hall sensor. It just reads the energy as it passes through a circle. So this thing can completely blow and it wouldn't affect the freeze dryer or anything because there's no actual interruption. It's just reading the current as it passes through it. And you don't need the vent valve. I optioned to order the extra valve so I can bleed the vacuum, check my trays from up here without having to reach all the way in the back. Now I did add a cooling fan on this side, and I bought a nice metal filter that's washable, lifetime filter, so I can clean it between batches because I do have furry friends. And I know that it would pick up hair and dirty the condenser. The other thing is it normal to see all this ice in there? Yes, you're going to get a lot of ice from the food you're freeze drying. The other thing is the mTORs. This batch has been running, 47 total hours. My mTORs probably didn't drop below 500 until after, I want to say 43 to 45 hours, and it started going below 500 because as the food is being heated in the trays, the moisture's coming off, the pressure stays up because that moisture, it basically creates pressure in the chamber, and it's going to keep the mTORs up. As the food starts getting drying, matter of fact, it just switched over to extra dry time. I have mine set to 24 hours. Just switched. Imagine that. But I noticed the mTORs drop well below 500. I'm getting all the way down below 200 as the food's getting dry. Now here shortly I'm going to pull these trays out, weigh them in grams on my little handy dandy scale there. Just a note, I put a small piece of silicone on the scale, especially when the trays come out of the freezer. They're a little damp on the bottom, and metal on metal, it slides all over the place. So I put a little piece of silicone there, keeps my tray from sliding all over the place and chancing tipping it over. Now, if you have a small or a medium freeze dryer, I just installed these outlets in this countertop here for my wife. These three outlets are daisy chained. So they are on a 20 amp breaker. They're 20 amp rated outlets. But if I were going to run that XL on here, that means I could plug nothing else into any of these three outlets because they're all on the same circuit, the same 20 amp breaker. That's what they mean by dedicated. Just because you have it plugged into one outlet and you don't plug anything else into that outlet, if that outlet is daisy chained from one to the other and then to the breaker, you cannot have anything else plugged in on it. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even use that because then you got wires going in and wires going out. So basically this freeze dryer is connected to the 20 amp breaker, runs underneath the counter here all the way up through that piece of PVC into that outlet, and there's nothing else plugged into it. The other thing I did is I have a window fan there, and there will be a window unit in this window to keep the temperature down in here, because since we've added the freeze dryer, I haven't even turned that radiator heater on. Don't use it at all. It keeps this room warm enough. Matter of fact, I came out this morning with the sunlight beating in these windows. I had to shut the shades because I was getting a room temperature warning. And so I turned on this little fan here, the window fan, just to draw some cool air in. I hadn't added that yet. I had it sitting over here on the cart, but I've sent the other thing for draining. It's so heavy I hadn't even get it off of foam yet, and I realized the foam acts as a great vibration barrier. When it comes drain time, I got this little pump here. It's for like getting into cars to if you're locked out. I can pump it up, and it literally lifts the freeze dryer enough, if I pump it all the way up, that it'll drain. Everything drains out the back, and I don't get that much water, if any, up front here. Anyway, I hope that's helped y'all. The other thing I found, one of the other groups, if you have an XL, these little guys here, I don't have enough in my hand. They are aluminum, so they're not really dishwasher safe. They'll turn color, but 4 of them fit perfectly in an XL tray. So if you want to do portions, you can set those down right in an XL tray. Now let's see if I got one more that's loose. Now I gotta stack them. But there's an empty one. But they fit perfectly in the XL tray. And this is what a week so far has got me. Ice cream sandwiches, peaches, bananas, strawberries, kiwi, apples, candy poo balls, basically Skittles, and more ice cream sandwiches and figs. I hope that answers some of y'all's questions. I also found an Excel spreadsheet that helps me track my batches. Works out really well. I don't know if it's still up. No, it isn't. But anyway, when I go to weigh here, I just make a column on my 7 trays. Here in a minute, I'm going to pull out those trays. I'm going to put down my initial weights. I'm going to let it run for another 2 or 3 hours. If the weight is changed and gets reduced, then I know I need more dry time. I'll do it one more time for a 3rd tray and give it another, 2-3 hours. But anyway, I hope that helps somebody at all. Thanks for watching. God bless.